We're live. Hey, hi everyone. Welcome back to another episode of VCTV, which is the Venture Capital TV from LATOKEN. My name is Sunny Mohanty. I'm the host and moderator of VCTV. I'm the regional director of LATOKEN Singapore as well. So I host VCTV Monday to Friday every day and cover many topics. The whole idea of VCTV is to connect people like yourselves who are investors looking for those startups to fund in, right? So that's the whole idea. And we've been running this show since last year, early last year, and we've been successfully growing. The family has grown, as you call it, a VCTV family. I should know that. So today I'm joined by three regular speakers to talk about crypto, talk about Bitcoin, blockchain, and how this technology is going to disrupt the current financial industry, if at all. So I'm gonna start with my speakers with the introductions. First is Nicola Marcella from Stone Partners. Hey, welcome back. How are you?
Hi, Sunny. I'm feeling good. Thank you for having me here.
A little short intro and background, please, Nicola.
Yeah, sure. I work in Switzerland. Sun Partner is a Swiss solution provider within the crypto space. We provide services in business development, investor relations, legal, marketing, and also PR. We assist mainly tokenization projects, token offerings, and DeFi projects.
Awesome, and welcome back on VCTV. All
Thank you.
right, next I have Adrian. Hi, Adrian. Welcome back.
Hi, Sonny. Hello, everybody. Thank you very much for the invitation. Again, I'm Adrian Niculescu, serial entrepreneur and investors. My genius zones are marketing, sales, and business development, and I love keeping my hands dirty in these areas. Besides my advisory roles and board member slots, I'm actively involved with few projects. Cloudcoin Consortium. Cloudcoin is a post-blockchain digital currency. Faster Capital, a Dubai-based accelerator and incubator for startups. Sarah Global Ventures, which is a London-based VC company, and also I'm a mentor in Richard Branson's Virgin Startups program in UK. Happy to be here and talk about crypto today.
Yay! Wow, love that intro. Thank you, Adrian, and welcome back. Hush. Hi, Hush. How are you?
Hey, Sonny, glad to be back and have this session with Nicola and Adrian as well. Nicola and I have met in the past as well, meeting Adrian for the first time. So, looking forward for a great session. A short bio about myself. Worked with Fortune 50 companies, a couple unicorns, and now I've found my own business called Startup Hackers, where I'm helping early stage startups grow their business and scale globally, right? Additionally, I'm also a venture partner with our ventures, helping startups raise funds all the way up to $10 million and taking them to the next level. So, looking forward for a great session today. Thank you so much.
Fantastic, fantastic, and welcome back, Harsh. So yeah, so we've spoken about this topic before, but I like to little change the way we're going to discuss this today. We're going to come to know more surprises in for you, for all of you. So yeah, let's talk about blockchain. Obviously, Bitcoin and blockchain are not inseparable, right? So blockchain is transforming everything from payments, transactions, and how money is raised on the private market. So will the traditional banking industry embrace this technology? I mean, some of the banks have, but is it going to be democratized in a larger scale, or some of the banks will be replaced by it, the technology? Let's start with Nicola.
I think that definitely some of the banks will be replaced from the technology, and some others will simply adapt and start providing services in this area. What we are seeing in Switzerland is really like forward also in the legislation on digital assets. Everybody here is thinking that probably in the future all assets, stocks, bonds will be digital assets based on distributed ledgers. So it's highly probable that banks will receive and adapt to this innovation, and actually some Swiss banks are already doing that. And even for example, the Swiss stock market company is starting his own decentralized based stock exchange. So is really we can see the way forward.
All right, great, thank you. Adrian, over to you. A little bit more context to the topic, as Nicola just mentioned great points as opening remarks. So how will this traditional banking industry or the financial industry going to be replaced or disrupted, by this technology? Over to you.
Can you imagine going to the bank and asking, how much money do I have in my Bitcoin balance? And representative to say, okay, let's see, do you want it exchange in the dollars, in euros, in what? The thing is that the big platforms like Binance, LATOKEN, and others, they offer similar services with the classical banks. I love staking, for example, like replacing the old interest on the amount which is placed there. Uh, it's a chicken and an egg problem, because the digitalization of assets, of stocks, bonds, everything is something which it can be avoided. And look at the cashless economy and even cardless. In UK, the fintech startups which are building now are building apps for financial purposes. They don't even use cards anymore, at least at the front end. They may add them later. So of course, some of the banks, they embrace this. Some of the banks are hating this industry. I can give you an example. In Romania, there is a bank is part of Societe Generale. They have a lunch break, and if you put some money in an account from cash to the account, the money doesn't show up immediately. It needs 2-3 other people to process in the next hour that transaction. For some of these companies, this way of doing things either will save them or will destroy them. But it's okay. We are living in a real financial revolution, and what is the most important is that the power somehow is gave back to the people, because they have many more options for their money, their hard-earned money, or their money for investments. They have more options. They can choose, not necessarily based on demographics. Of course, there are some restrictions, but they can choose the best way and the best returns and the risk to return ratio between so many other players, some of them being located in the other part of the world, which is huge.
Great insights. Great insights, as you must say, to the start of the panel. Thank you so much. You're going to go deep dive after this. Harsh, over to you.
Yeah, so definitely we are going to see a huge disruption in the financial space, right? You look at it in the last 20, 30 years, banks have failed miserably in adopting to new technologies, right? With all the security hacks and all the data being leaked and all the. So it's pretty clear that these traditional institutions, the traditional banks, they cannot keep pace with the growth of technology, right? That's why we have these technological companies doing finance, and they are beating the banks to it. PayPal has become like one of the largest players in the space. Now you look at what Stripe is doing. You look at companies like TransferWise. You look at companies like Square. They're completely tearing apart these walls which were created by banks, right? So banks are definitely under a huge threat right now, and unless they adapt and evolve very quickly and change their conventional ways of doing things, right, they're going to be in some serious trouble. Especially if you look at it, even during the subprime crisis 2008, right, it was the banks which failed the people miserably. The fintech providers which were there, they were doing the jobs well and they were facilitating everything. It was the conventional banks who were supposed to be the pillars of the economy. They were the ones who had failed miserably and caused this major global collapse, right? So definitely there's going to be a classic case of an evolution where these banks have to buck up and get these new adapt to this newer developments which are happening. Else it's going to be complete cataclysm for them. There's no doubt about it.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for that opening remarks, I have another question, follow-up question on blockchain. So we've spoken about the use cases of blockchain technology in the financial industry. What about other industries? What are the use cases of blockchain technology in other industries? Industrialization 4.0. Chief, if you can just share some few case studies on the blockchain application, um, other industries, Nicola.
Yeah, actually, I've seen a lot. For example, in the food industry, to track the supply chain, there are a lot of use cases with blockchain because a lot. I mean, nowadays people wants to know more about the food they're eating and when where it comes from. All the information also about the process of actually transforming the food into what like comes to your house. And blockchain is able to give enhanced transparency and give you more information and more trustable information. This also has been used in the clothing industry. So like people can really check what materials has been used to produce those clothes and where these materials come from. In my opinion, blockchain really is able to enhance transparency, and transparency is something useful in several different industries and has a lot of use cases. So we can definitely have different applications of blockchain in various industries. Here, in my opinion, the point is really to see what startup does. There are many projects. Some of them are good, some of them not. But the point is like they will go on the market, and if they works, and they will probably transform, maybe also transform really an industry or also the way people conceive also consuming.
Yeah, rightly said. I think food, retail are also good use cases to share. Adrian.
I want to touch the world of counterfeit products, and both blockchain and the post blockchain technologies are very good because what do we want with the technology? We want to avoid manipulation, and of course, when we are talking about food chain, I want to see if that product I consume, let's say, is organic or not. So I want to see from the moment the seed was planted, what happened until my plate. Is the same with luxury goods or with products which usually are counterfeited. Look at the fashion industry, for example. Let's say Hermes handbag, or it can be any other brand. It has life after the first purchase, exactly like a used car. And I want to see if I want to purchase that, if the item is genuine or not. So both blockchain and post-blockchain technologies are very good for that. And of course, I'm looking at perfumes. I'm looking at anything which is usually counterfeited, and I see huge opportunities in this space,
Very
in
good
these
point.
spaces.
Absolutely, very good point. That's the whole idea of the technology to bring in the transparency and the traceability. Thank you so much, Adrian. Harsh.
Yeah. So primarily, I see a lot of applications in terms of the supply chain and logistics space, as well as in the healthcare space, right? In supply chain and logistics, the smart contracts, through the smart contracts, what we can do is, each and every each and every node in the chain, right? Each of them can be tracked, and we can easily see a transfer of the goods which is happening. Each of that is recorded, right? So right now, what happens is there tends to be limited accountability. There tends to be some losses along the middle, some pilferage which happens. We can track all of that very efficiently if we kind of shift the entire supply chain logistics into the smart contract format through the Ethereum, right? So that's obviously going to be the one major application for it, and it adds a lot of accountability, a lot of transparency exactly the problem happened, because right now the entire system is completely opaque. That is one major area. Additional area I see is it's in the healthcare space, where the patient data, right? The biggest problem right now with the healthcare is facing is the patient data is extremely decentralized, right? What happens is each and every hospital kind of maintains their own data. There is no commonality between them, and to transfer the data from one hospital to another hospital or from one doctor to someone else, there is no centralized avenue. Because of that, the patient information is completely diluted, right? But with the blockchain, if you can create central nodes for each and every hospital, you give them like a central password and given access to that, you can get all of the data combined into a single place where none of the individual nodes get have access to the data of the other person, and yet the person who's the owner, he can get access to all the data at the same time, right? That is where essentially I see a very solid application to that. And another application of it, building on Adrian's point, right? The most important and the most crucial aspect, I think, which still has not taken blockchain to the next level, at least that industry has not thought about it, is piracy. You see these video piracy, content piracy which is happening, right? Through
Absolutely.
blockchain, what can happen is each and every, if you put the entire smart contract and you completely list your product through the blockchain technology, what will happen is each and every download, each and every action which is happening, you'll be able to track it through the blockchain, right? So if
Yeah.
there is some leakage which is happening anyway on the nodes, right,
Yeah.
blockchain will be able to track and identify who the person was, and we can easily go and track that. So that is one area where the application is absolutely endless, where you can look at it. And finally, the large problem regarding copyrights and piracy will be taken care of in a large way. But that being said, blockchain is still at a very early stage. It still needs a lot of improvements, a lot of enhancements. I would say, even in the web, there was a Web 2.0 movement, right, which completely changed how the websites were working. Prior to Web 2.0 in the 95-96 era, we used to have these typical .com basic HTML websites, which Amazon was famous for, right? Those were very old school websites. And then came the Web 2.0 movement, which completely changed how the World Wide Web was, right? Kind of developments are happening. The websites we are seeing today, they're all a product of Web 2.0. I foresee a similar blockchain 2.0 movement coming soon. And once that happens, it's going to be omnipresent. That's the only word I can use. It's going to be omnipresent.
Awesome. Awesome. Talking about Web 2.0, talking about the capital markets, let's come back to finance now. So, blockchain obviously has a lot of application in different industries, sectors, with different use cases. As we just came to know, our audience came to know. Just let's go back to the finance sector. So, let's talk about the capital market. So, what is capital market 2.0? I keep on hearing capital market 2.0. So what are the current trends in the capital market, and what are the future, and what's the contribution of the blockchain technology? How it's going to impact the whole capital market space? Who'd like to start?
Okay, this is really a big topic. We can write a book about it.
We have to
So
squeeze into one
let's
hour.
let's narrow it down to the impact of the blockchain to the capital market. Uh, Really, the blockchain gives the possibility of people to be actors in the capital market and to participate in the market from earlier phases. If we have looked at crowdfunding and what ICOs can be seen as an evolution of crowdfunding, even of an higher scale and on a worldwide scale, because as LATOKEN is a platform that allows you to launch your ICO on the platform itself, and is something that I usually do in Switzerland. So innovative projects that need to find financial resources for the development of the project itself can launch their own token and raise capital through the ICO. This is actually something really revolutionizing the capital markets. Usually in the traditional capital markets, the IPO phase is a phase that comes really after a kind of long route of a company and requires a high capitalization of the company, requires the involvement of banks, law firms, and really has a high cost. ICO allows way smaller and more innovative and also risky business to raise capital through a super wide crowd of investors. The IPO market is often restricted to a limited number of markets.
Yeah.
For example, okay, if you are in the US, you have the full US market, which is huge. But for example, if you take into account Europe, an IPO in Italy, in France, or Germany address only that specific country. With an ICO, you can address the world, and you can find people that believe in your projects all around the world. This is a possibility that basically never happened before, and these open us really huge opportunities for startups and for people that has an innovative idea and wants to raise fund for it.
I think greatly explain the difference between IPO and an ICO. As long as ICOs are as reliable as the IPOs, I think we've got great solution, right?
Yeah, of course, there are major regulatory differences between IPOs and ICOs, but because the financial regulations are told for a world that is now changing and blockchain is really disrupting the financial regulation itself. Look at what decentralized finance is doing. Decentralized finance is a nightmare for regulators and for the regulation itself because it's really the contrary of what the regulation was told for. And also the fact that in decentralized finance, that the people have the possibility to participate in the market directly. This is really something, this is a revolution because to participate to the stock market, I have to go to a bank, open a bank account, and start trading. Then eToro came up, and okay, I can open an account there, and I can do trading. But there is still an intermediary. With crypto assets, actually, me and Raj can simply trade between me and him, our tokens. I say, I want to buy, you want to sell. Okay, let's do. I will give you some bitcoins. You will give some other tokens. It's just between him and me.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Great points there, Nicola. Thank you so much. If you're done, let's move to Adrian with that question.
The idea of ICO was, and it is a very good one, but of course, the system of ICOs was manipulated, and it is. It also happens with DeFi. DeFi is a very good idea, but people need to do their own due diligence. So to make the difference between the ethical projects and the non-ethical ones. It's the same with NFTs. So anybody can produce an NFTs, but if I want to steal the photo of Sony from Instagram and to sell it as an NFT, okay, I'm doing it on the blockchain, but gosh, the content is not mine. Come on. Yeah. So all these things are very good in principles. The problem is that still not being a regulated space, the bad actors can do a lot of stuff. Of course, their influence is shrinking due to the fact that the systems are better and better. People are savvier than before, but still is a little bit of jungle. Right. So we need to work somehow to clear the jungle, right?
Yeah. So
can I add something really quick to what Adrian said? I really agree with you. We have to work to clean the jungle. There is, of course, a Far West given from the fact that there is a lack of regulation. And you are right on 2 points. First point is personal due diligence. So people need to look in the project they are investing on. It happened in 2017, 2018, and is happening also now. There are some projects which are basically scams or simply they are not good projects and are raising money. Why? Because people are not able to look inside a project and to assess what the characteristics of a project. Second point, there should be professional players, business that provide these ratings, opinions, evaluations. And also us, as a service provider, we advise on token offerings, but we also do a selection. We select token offering that only as, in our opinion, of course, but as a potential behind the project itself. And so we put our name as well in the token offering, and we put our reputation as well. So when our reputation is there, people knows that me and other team members said, okay, this project is something valuable, not you should invest, but still is not a scam, and there is people behind it, there is an idea behind it. I think that other service providers should do the same thing to at least clean up the jungle between ourselves before regulators come.
Absolutely, absolutely, great point. Cleaning the jungle is the first step forward. So, Adrian, you wanted to say something?
I wanted to add to Nicola a very simple distinction. When, of course, many people, especially, I don't know, day traders, regular people, when they put some money into a coin, they are thinking of making an investment for a future return. This is their mindset. But if we look at these coins, basically they are not investment vehicles. They are just coins. And most of them, most of them, all of them, I believe, the ones who are listed on centralized exchanges, they have a lawyer saying that that token is not a security, you know, but everything is promoted like an investment, which should be a very clear distinction to be done. Of course, when I'm putting some money into a coin, I should look at that project. I should look at the business to see the utility, to see the future. But regular people say, okay, I want something which will 10x in few hours. And all the time when will be such promise will be believers who will put their money there, right? Everybody wants to make more money somehow, and all the time this too good to be true returns will attract people, right?
Very good point. I think the token should be backed by a solution already in existence and probably has traction, has a market, because we currently are also doing IO for a company that is into precious metals for like years. Like they're a very established company, and they've just come up with their own token. And using that token, you can actually buy precious metals.
Cool.
Ruby, sapphires, and they have huge mining sort of sites all over the Southeast Asia. That's the target market. So yeah, so I think that obviously gives a lot of credibility and comfort to the people who are actually purchasing the tokens as a part of the ICO. You rightly said, Adrian. So I just added on my points. Thank you so much. Harsh,
Yeah,
your insights.
cool. So typically, we've seen the wild, wild west, right, of the ICOs back in the 2016, 2017 days. As in, it
Why?
is wild, wild west. That's the only description I can come with that. So people lost money at that time like crazy, right? So that is why currently the way that we are functioning with all these exchanges coming up, LATOKEN being one of them and few others as well, and a newer format of STO. I see STOs can really take it to the next level and kind of add that regulatory environment which is needed to protect those assets that which the people are investing into the company, right? It can't be a plain vanilla utility token which is being transacted. People buy those utility tokens and get off with that. It cannot be that way. There has to be some sort of security uh, in the form of an STO. Without that, it's just like blowing money in a casino, right? But typically in a casino, most people tend to have a lot of money. They're HNIs, they have buttload of money. It doesn't matter if they lose a few $1,000s. But the same doesn't apply when the market is large and you have thousands of retail investors getting into the space, right? So you need to have some sort of regulation in place, which can come with the help of the stablecoin. There is a stablecoin into the picture, which acts like a bridge between the utility token and the fiat currency, right? The stablecoin, it can act as a bridge between the two. So that is another way, where you can kind of ensure that the entire balance and stability is there. You cannot have like a completely utility token based complete economy. It's going to be very difficult to survive, and most large economies across the world are kind of banning pure utility tokens, right? Because it becomes extremely difficult to survive, and it's basically fleecing the investors. That's why you need to have some correlation with the fiat currency to ensure that it stays sustainable and has some real life tangible value as well associated with that. In fact, I'm just having this discussion with a US based uh, crypto advisor company. They've kind of told me similar things as well. So if you focus on like a pure utility token, doesn't make sense. It has to be there has to be some other form of regulatory systems in place. There have to be some sort of correlation with the regular fiat currency, and there needs to be some sort of liability placed as well on the founders. It cannot be like completely hands off, completely crowdfunding where there's no kind of regulation in place over there. It cannot happen plain vanilla that way.
Oh, actually, you brought up a very good point I wanted to discuss further, but we can take it now. So, crowdfunding, how different the traditional crowdfunding and ICOs? How
So
different? How?
correct. So crowdfunding, there are multiple avenues in crowdfunding, right? So one is obviously the Kickstarter and the Indiegogo, where they do the crowdfunding, but at the end of the day, they get a product. In in essence, they are kind of prepaying for a product. That is one form of crowdfunding. Another form of crowdfunding is for medical surgeries, where you simply donate the money to someone without any expectation in return, right? That is another form of crowdfunding. Then there is equity crowdfunding, where you get fractional ownership of shares, and that the equity is getting crowdfunded, but that is still equity. It is not completely free of cost, right? So the same thing, it should apply over here as well, right? If you are doing a crowdfunding over here, ICO in essence was like a charitable crowdfunding, where you put some money and get some utility tokens, but at the end you're not sure what exactly you're getting. And the idea was, as Adrian was pointing out, right, hoping to get 10x return. At the end of the day, you have nothing in your hand. So that's what used to happen. So instead of going to the ICO route, you go to the IEO or the STO route, and it adds more stability to that. You won't get those crazy 10x returns, which is absolutely ludicrous, but at least you know that it's going to be something credible. There'll be some tangible value to that, and it has passed through the regulatory burden which is required, and
Yeah.
then it has come in into the public image, right? So that is exactly what is required to add more credibility and trust to the entire process.
Absolutely. I absolutely totally on the right lines. Sorry, Adrian, do you want to share something with that with Harsh's comment?
I like very much the idea of ownership. So I always prefer the kind of crowdfunding where I get equity,
Right.
or and will be a very interesting niche, like the combination between equity and coins. So when you buy coins, you also have some shares in that project, and as mentioned before, the tokenization of stocks of equity is part of the next big thing we are seeing is in this industry. And Harsh presented very well mm, all the elements of the crowdfunding idea,
Right.
or products, equity, and of course the ICO thing.
Thank you, Adrian. Nicola, would you like to add anything to that?
Yes, actually, I would like to go a bit back to what Adrian was saying, and which, in my opinion, was really interesting before, regarding also the investment purpose behind the buying of tokens in people that participate in the market. I think that this is really true. And I also think that when you said that all projects behind the project, there is a lawyer that assess the project and draft something saying is a utility token or payment token or whatever, is not really true. I am a lawyer and I see a lot of projects that actually don't have this. Because when a lawyer start looking into a project, for example, first thing I do, I delete all the promises of profits, because you cannot do that if you sell a utility token or a payment token. Sometimes lawyers really also change some characteristics of the projects, and in my opinion, is not bad, because tech guys, startuppers, they have their own idea, but they don't know the law, and sometimes they could infringe the law with their projects. So
Correct.
crypto asset lawyers, as I am, what they do is you assess the project and you say, guys, these things you can do, these others you cannot. You cannot do these promises, otherwise it will be a security product, or even more, you cannot do promises that you are not able or you are not sure you will be able to respect. So really, we sometimes change a lot of projects, and also, in my opinion, this is also part of cleaning the jungle, because I really don't like to see a lot of token offerings in which people, like the promoter says, buy the token, you will earn 200%, 300% in 1 year. In my opinion, it's really irresponsible to make such a promise. And if a client comes to me with that, I say, or you take out this promise, or you will not be my client, basically. So this is also part of cleaning the jungle we were saying before. And this also makes token offerings something more similar to crowdfunding, because crowdfunding in a lot of in a lot of jurisdiction is something regulated. Here we have, of course, a lack of regulation, which is basically what allows all these Far West to exist. And what we can do as market participants and also service provider is at least to try with our clients and with the people we work with to be more basically respectful of the investors, the clients, and of the market itself. One other thing is that you cannot really control the people acting on the market. I think that the examples also in the financial markets recently with regard to GameStop and whatever, it really shows this. Sometimes it happens to me that we do everything properly in the white paper. We explain really what the project is a payment token, okay? And then a lot of hype creates around the offer, and a lot of people believe that if they buy the token, they will earn 10 times the value in 1 year. I mean, the point of my client, when I speak with my clients about it, I say, guys, the important thing is that you do not make promises you are not able to respect. Then if some people in the community thinks that your project is amazing, okay. If these people start saying buy this token because it will increase a lot, it's not really okay, but sometimes there is nothing you can do, basically.
I think these are the checks and balances that should be done from the lawyer side, the project owner's lawyer. I mean, if, as you rightly said, you have every right to say no to a client, and it's in your best interest to guide them to do the white paper. Similarly, we also do those checks and balances to ensure that we do not have the client does not have any promises in terms of giving back. Otherwise, it's considered a security. Very rightly said, and these are the checks that we should be doing both together.
Yeah, but indeed, Sonny, we do it together also with exchange when we do IO or when we do the listing of tokens. And this is also why, as I was saying also in another panel, Switzerland is a good jurisdiction, because in Switzerland you can go to the Financial Conduct Authority with the project itself, so with the business model, with the description of the token, and obtain a document about the qualification of the token. So you are sure about the legal qualification of the token, and you can also show these documents to the community, to potential investors, and to the exchange. The point here is to try to be as close as possible to the regulated market. And in Switzerland, also because it's a small country and maybe they can move faster than others, they were able to create a kind of burden of certainty over the token offerings.
Right. Great. I mean, great discussion. All three of us are having, three of you bringing to the table here. Thank you so much. Talking about payments token, I just wanted to ask a question in relation to that. So, do you think the cryptocurrency are going to replace the physical notes that we have? What is so how can it be used as a payment token? So, what's the whole underlying technology behind cryptocurrencies? Maybe Nicola.
I mean, to replace actual currencies, I don't know if it's really possible or if it will happen soon. In my opinion, maybe stable coins can, if integrated with the credit cards system, can really be useful in daily payments. But I think that also central bank digital currency will basically smash them once they will be here, and probably it will happen quite soon. Yeah. With regard to Bitcoin, I don't really see it as a day-to-day payment mean. I really see it as digital gold, as the original purpose is a store of value. You can use it as people from 1,000 years use the gold to preserve value of some part of their total assets.
Right. Great insights, Nicola. Adrian, would you like to add to that?
Of course, the the governments will make some moves into digitalize the national currencies, and only after that we can really touch the subjects. The subject. I don't think Bitcoin will become because it didn't become for so many years, and still there is no cryptocurrency with the potential to become a global adopted one. Will be currencies covering certain niches, and as Nicola mentioned, Bitcoin is becoming like a store of value type of asset, and even in times of uncertainty, it can become a refugee for investors to move money from other assets to Bitcoin. My theory is that with Bitcoin, we are in an institutional bubble. And anyway, Bitcoin is now closer than $100,000 than to zero, and probably will reach 100K faster than we all think about it. Nobody knows what will happen. We'll see by doing and by assessing what's happening.
I really like the idea, refugee during the uncertain times. Yeah. Thank you so much, Adrian.
Because we are in uncertain times.
Yes, we are indeed, for sure. That's what that's what I meant. Thank you. Harsh?
Yeah. So I'm quite agreeing with Adrian and Nicola as well, right? It cannot replace the fiat currency, but the way I see it, it's going to be like another asset class for traditional investors to invest in, right? Just like you have gold, silver, stocks, and all the other investment classes are there. Crypto is going to be one more investment class which they can look to invest in, and just like all the other asset classes which are there, which tend to be very speculative and tend to fluctuate a lot, it's going to happen the same to this as well. The reason why it cannot become an established form of currency is because if it becomes an established form of currency, there has to be some sort of regulation, there has to be some sort of structure in place. And once you put that some sort of regulation and structure, it in essence it stops being crypto. The essence of crypto is its decentralized nature, right? If once you put some regulation, you put some structure to it, it is no longer crypto, because then it just becomes another form of plastic money, right? That is why I find it very difficult to grasp the concept of a CBDC. It doesn't seem to make sense to me whatsoever, because if you look at a CBDC, you have a central bank publishing digital currency. How is it any different from plastic money? Plastic money is essentially the same as well, right? The essence of a CBDC, essential essence of a cryptocurrency is that it's completely decentralized. No one owns it, no one regulates it, right? If a central bank is regulating it, it's just the same as any plastic money which is stored that way, right? So that is why I feel it's going to be another asset class which is going to have some value to it, and the primary value of cryptocurrency is it's limited in number. That is the only reason why cryptos still have value even to this date, and their value is going up. Unlike paper money, which can be just printed to endless denominations, you can't do the same with crypto. Bitcoin has a cap to it, Ethereum has a cap to it, and typically all the token economies which are created, they all build a cap to it, and it is that exclusivity, it's the shortage of amount which is giving the value to the cryptocurrency, right? So it's definitely going to act like an independent asset class, but I don't see it replacing it anytime soon. At the same time, it's going to be very different geographically, right? So if you look at a stable economy like say India or China or USA or UK or Europe, right? These are extremely stable currencies where the inflation tends to vary from 2-3% on the lower side and goes up to 6-7-8% on the higher side, right? So in these economies, crypto can never be, because it's far too fluctuating and far too volatile. At the same time, you compare this with the highly volatile African countries and some of the Eastern European countries whose currencies, they lose value like 15%, 20%, 30% on an annual basis. So those highly volatile economies over there, crypto could actually act as a protection for them. To at least they'll have some sort of protection, which where when the fiat currency is not providing that sort of protection, crypto can provide protection over there. So we are going to be seeing different levels of adoption across the world. It's not going to be one standard across the world, that to say that yes, this crypto is going to work out. But there are definitely going to be interesting countries, particularly the African and some Eastern European countries like Georgia, Tunisia, and those other countries, which will see a lot more crypto adoption compared to these more established economies like us.
Great points at talking about different countries and the adoption depending on the economies and how powerful their currency is. Talking about India, are we? I think I still see in the news that it's going to be banned. It's not going to be banned. So what's happening over there?
So just 2 days back, I read an article that not only are they planning to ban cryptocurrency, they are planning to deem it illegal, right? So anyone in ownership of Bitcoin and Ethereum, they are going to have 6 months to sell it off, and if they are found to have any form of crypto assets, that's technically breaking the law. So that is the direction which the government is planning to go into, because they obviously feel threatened by the cryptocurrency compared to the fiat currency, right? So I'm not sure how legitimate this news is, or if it's actually going to be implemented. It's still under the rumors, but that is the direction which the government is looking into. So it definitely creates a lot of concern regarding how the market is going to expand, because it's essentially like the entire world is going in that direction, and we are forcefully stopping it. That no, we don't want to go in that direction.
Yeah,
So that's an
exactly.
unfortunate state of affairs.
I also read another article where the finance minister is going to be like supporting it, like she's literally supporting it. Another article that they're going to ban it. So it's little. I'm in a state of confusion unless it happens really.
It's it's completely chaotic, as in they want to support blockchain and they want to don't do crypto, and it's just a lot of fear mongering and a lack of understanding of how crypto essentially works. Because of that, there are these knee jerk kind of reactions which we are seeing, which with no scientific basis, etc. Because the essence of that is they see that it as a threat to the fiat currency. That's it, and they don't want the Indian rupee to get devalued compared to these, and that's why they are acting this way. And a lot of the other countries would kind of act in a similar way as well, especially with some of the lesser developed economies. I do tend to see this kind of reaction is going to come from them as well. But eventually, I hope that better senses prevail.
We hope so.
But
So
so every startup, Indian startup that is dealing with crypto assets, they will need to close or move, basically.
Yeah, essentially. So that's what's being considered, right? 2-3 days back, I read this article, and we are not sure exactly if that's going to happen. But if that law actually gets put into place, then they'll have no option. Either they'll have to move their base to either Singapore or Switzerland, and probably you'll be able to help them out in that.
crypto friendly jurisdictions.
Exactly.
Yes, from the
Estonia.
marketing point of view, maybe it's not a bad news, but I'm actually quite sad because, of course, India is more than 1 billion people and like can be really a good developing market also for crypto assets. So I don't really understand the reason behind this total ban.
Yeah,
Neither do
the idea is that majority of the people still don't understand. Thing is, most of the Indian economy still follows the cash economy, right? They still don't have digital plastic money already in place. Majority don't have bank accounts, so the government is still kind of in a way of trying to protect them and to ensure that they don't get fleeced. So that is the entire concern behind that, unfortunately.
lack of education.
Exactly.
Right. Okay. Talking about Harsh just mentioned that there are limited supply of the cryptocurrencies. Of course, the fiat they keep on the central banks keep on printing them. So let's talk about how to, because people ask me how do I create a Bitcoin rather than buying it on exchange. How to mine, buy, and trade on Bitcoin and Ethereum. Would like to, Adrian?
So mining a Bitcoin at this point is not economical at all, right? The kind of assets which are required, the kind of infrastructure is required, it's extremely expensive. And unless you have those hundreds of thousands of dollars to set up those heavy servers to do the mining, it won't really make sense. So mining is pretty much on a very limited scale. But for trading, there are plenty of platforms. You have Binance is there, Coinbase is there, a lot of other platforms are there. People can simply buy from that. But I would still kind of reinforce the point that people tend to focus only on Bitcoin. Crypto is far bigger than Bitcoin. Bitcoin is just a small part of it. Don't get enamored by these crazy growth that you're seeing in Bitcoin, because just about 3 years back it grew from around $1,000 to $8,000 and fell back to $3 or $4,000, right? So it's gonna happen just because it's growing right now. Don't focus the entire attention just on Bitcoin. Look at it in the holistic terms and understand what the beauty of the entire crypto setup is.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you. Adrian, would you like to add something to that?
Of course, mining for Bitcoin is science fiction for most miners. Still, Ethereum offers opportunities for mining, and at least for a few months, and you can mine any other coins. I'm not specialized in mining. I do more trading, and the thing with trading is that there are moments of high volatility when for the people who are trading with leverage, both the sell and buy positions are liquidated. So you have to be very careful when using leverage, and don't play with the money you are not ready to lose. Still, trading is a good way to multiply your coins, but also buy and hold. You buy some coins, you keep them there for 1 to 3 years, and the crypto market is very similar nowadays with the stocks market. So you have technical analysis. You can use more or less the same indicators, but what is very important is driven by the same two human emotions: fear and greed. Fear when market goes down,
Right.
and greed, of course. Look what the thing is going up.
Correct. The FOMO.
And yes, exactly, FOMO. I wanted to add to what Nicola said earlier. Okay, you are a lawyer, you do all the due diligence for a project. The white papers is here, the promises are eliminated. So the coin has a small market cap, and 5 big influencers are putting videos on YouTube. Buy this coin, has 100x potential, 1000x. People are buying, people are putting comments on Twitter, everywhere. What can you do then? Because everybody wants this type of return. Okay, even there is a training of a guy who was, I believe, in a hedge fund. It's called 5 coins to 5 million. He's selling a report, is $2,500. Is part of a package, recommended some coins with the potential to transform a small amount into a huge amount. So what can you do being part of that project if everybody around you says, buy this, buy that, it will go 10x, 100x, 1000x?
Yeah,
It's,
that's
it, it's similar with Wall Street bets, actually. It's the same thing.
Yeah, that's a good question, Adrian. So what we do on our project is basically we start up our own, let's say, community, or we try to start up the community with the influencers, giving them the materials, explaining them the project, but also having a minimum degree of control over them in order to be sure that they don't do these things, basically. But it happened to me that on some project it happens the exact same thing. So the project was there, was live, there was the IO, and some other influencers, as this one, but okay, another name, started saying, I love this project, you should buy this project. So first thing, if you really say you should buy it because of a return, is basically an illicit investment advice in basically every jurisdiction. So he's committing a crime, probably. However, from the side of the project, we use, in that case, we use a notice saying that the influencer has nothing to do with the project itself and there was no relation with him. But that basically was the only thing we could do, because there is freedom of speech. He is free to say whatever he wants. And the project itself, actually, even the funders were not really so happy, because, okay, the token price was going up, but then, of course, there is an up and there is a down. So they want a sustainable growth of the price of the token. And these things really, they don't help you. I really see, I have a suspect of market manipulation in these cases, because I don't think that these people, they do it only because they really love the project. I think that they see, maybe for sure they see the potential, then they buy some tokens and they leverage on the community to buy more in order for them to sell their tokens to an higher price. So again, this is really the angle of what we were talking about. And we need regulation to prevent such market abuses, but at the current point in time, there is really not much you can do. Also, because like everything here is on an international scale. Like maybe the project is based in Switzerland, and then this guy is from the US or from Asia or from other parts of Europe or from Africa, and you have no link with the jurisdiction guy. Yes, you can send an email to the police of that country saying this guy is doing so, but in my experience, there is not really a result in doing so. I would like to add a bit more about what you were saying before about trading. I really think that trading, also using the leverage and these things, should be done only by people that have a knowledge of this market. And also investing, I really tell this to everybody who is watching us. Please, guys, do your own due diligence. Use like critical thinking. Look at the project itself. Look at the characteristic. Form your own idea on the project itself. And if you are not traders, if you have not also the time and the passion and the knowledge to be able to do trading, then buy and holding probably is the solution for you. Trading is something good if you're able to do that. You can gain a lot of money, you can also lose a lot of money. For example, me personally, I used to do trading, then I quit it. I said, I have no time for doing that. I have my job. I simply select some projects I personally like and hold them on the long term. So even people, and I know a lot of colleagues that do the same, so even people that have a deep knowledge of the market, they don't do trading. I'm sure you, Adrian, are good at doing trading, and I know there are a lot of people that are good at doing trading. Leave trading to those people that are good to do that.
Yeah, the daily traders, like, actively trading. I think, yeah,
I think it's also stressful because the crypto assets market is open 24 hours per day, 365 days per year. I was talking with a trader some weeks ago. He was telling me he has alarms also during the night. If the price is moving too fast, he wakes up and starts doing trading. So it's not something for everyone, I mean.
Exactly. Great insights coming from. I represent an exchange. I know how it works. It's all hard work behind the exchange, actually. Honestly, a lot of hard work goes behind it, keeping it 24/7. So basically, on the closing note, on the closing remarks, I wanted to just touch base on one point. As Nicola mentioned, and also Adrian and Hers, just having an influencer in the crypto space, hiring an influencer, doing influencer marketing, to promote your tokens is not the best way forward for the success of your project, right? For if you're doing an IE or an exchange. So what advice do you have, Nicola, coming from obviously you are a lawyer. So if a project comes to you for a token offering, and they've just obviously they give you the roadmap, like, this is my roadmap, this is what I'm issuing to the public sale, these are my marketing and promotion roadmap. I'm going to hire a big influencer who is millions of followers in the industry, who can, really take my tokens to really to the skies. I mean, big ideas coming from big project owners, but what that important key point would you like to advise them to keep in mind while issuing this token and offering?
In my opinion, the key word is transparency. Be transparent with your community. Explain what your project is. Give clear information to the community, which is not, I mean, influencers are not a good or bad thing. You can also do a good use of influencer. If they tell correct information to the public, and not only creating hype stimulating the FOMO of people, basically. Because what some influencer does is like, hurry up, buy these, otherwise you will be out of these amazing profits. They should not do that. They should basically do, I like this project, these are the characteristics of the project, these are the reasons why I like this project. If you believe it too, if you have the same idea, then buy the token. And there are a lot of good projects and a lot of bad ones. To distinguish between the good and the bad ones is based on the informations we have. So really, we need to spread correct information, and also people need to look at this information.
Transparency, like being transparent all the way through, is the key. Adrian?
It's a learning curve for the users, and very few people they want results, but very few people are taking the effort to follow the learning curve. And unfortunately, our own due diligence actually is outsourced to influencers. And of course, the influencers are in two categories: the ethical influencers and non-ethical ones. The difference in a message is that the technology offers leverage. It's one thing to be listened by one person, and another thing that message to be listened by 400,000. And if you look at a lot of YouTube videos, if you study projects, you are able to start seeing some patterns. And if you see some kind of a promise, you can say from the start, I saw this type of promise with the other three projects. Look what happened to them. This is something bothered from police work. It's called superior pattern recognition. So I always advise entrepreneurs to learn sales and marketing. I always advise investors, users, day traders, do the effort, learn the ropes, because it will pay off over time. So at the end of the day, it's about your money, because after that you will go on forums saying that the crypto as an industry is a scam or something like that, which is very bad and will affect all our efforts. We just want to promote the idea of the technology, the benefits of using these technologies, avoiding the traps, and it's like going to a new university. It's something like that. It's a very specific thing. You need to learn the ropes. You can't avoid that. Come on. But it takes work, and people prefer binging on movies and sharing what they saw this weekend instead of studying. This is a reality.
What we should say is that there is no easy way to earn money sleeping or without doing nothing. To earn money, in the end, it's always to put some effort into something. And in this case, is put some effort in studying, as you said, the projects. And I like the idea of a university you gave. It's something completely new, so you have to study it.
Yeah, totally. And some universities also.
And if we
sorry, go on, Nishir.
No. If we look, if you look at the statistics, and I have one I'm using in courses, and it's like in my face all the time. 2% of the people own 98% of assets, money, businesses, and so on, and the rest of 98% are fighting for the 2% that is left. This is done by design, and everybody should make an effort to enhance the financial intelligence. And being in the crypto space, it's a highly financial intelligence exercise. It's not for everybody. It's like you are rebooting your mental system to be able to cope with all these things, and requires a new mindset, requires effort and a learning curve
Absolutely. I
to be
mean,
successful.
totally agree. All the points that Adrian mentioned, education, sales and driving for entrepreneurs, that's the key. And as rightly mentioned now, it's a discipline. Like crypto is not for everyone, as Adrian rightly said. So there's a lot of reading, a lot of understanding, no binging on movies over the weekends. If you really want to make it big in this space, all the entrepreneurs and startups watching, please, these are the best practices coming from all the experts. Thank you so much. Last, Harsh, your closing remarks before we wrap up. I didn't know it's over the time, but we are at a good time. So,
Yeah. So essentially, marketing, it's very easy to blame, misleading ads and all that, right? But marketing, essentially, it's how you use it, right? It's
yeah,
just like driving a car or having a gun, right? There's a soldier and there's a criminal. If a soldier is using it, it's good. If a criminal is using it, it's bad. So it's not the marketing by itself, but how it's being used, right? That's where it becomes critical to understand, whether it's being good or bad and what the intentions are. So
yeah,
essentially, that, and just like every industry, there needs to be some regulatory watchdog to kind of ensure that, there are not some bad practices which are taking place. But despite all those regulations, you look at stock markets even today, there'll be thousands of investors who are losing money in stock markets, left, right, and center. Same goes for casinos. People lose money left, right, and center. And you don't see anyone talking that just bring the stock market down. As in, there are some people who are saying that, but it's how effective those people are, right? You can't take the stock market down just because few people have lost money. And in a sense, bringing back to the Adrian's point, the essential fact is most people are so tuned to instant gratification. In fact, I think I mentioned this analogy before as well, that
yeah,
people have the mind, have the retention capacity of less than a goldfish. They can't even put an attention together for more than 10 seconds at a time. It's about 8 seconds. So if
yeah,
people don't have that kind of attention span, how do they expect to actually make money? You can't have instant gratification when it comes to making money. And Adrian was mentioning that 2% of the people, or majority of the wealth, right? So essence, what happens is those two people, that 2% of the world, they are constantly advancing, growing, and developing themselves, whereas the rest of the 98% are they are going backwards in terms of the development. And that is exactly why the financial structure is being arranged in this way. So it's extremely important to buck up and kind of and, really do the deep dive, really understand how it's working, truly put an effort into that, right? There's this book by James Clear called Atomic Habits. I recommend everyone to read that because the essence is, even if
yeah,
you improve 1% every day,
yeah.
you miss a couple days, that's fine. Average out at like 4%, 5% in a week. That would still take you 30x of what you within a year of what you where you are today. And if you depreciate by 1% in a day, by the end of the year, you are basically zero.
Right.
So that is exactly what I always recommend, to other startup founders who are working with me, and to everyone, right? So you need to constantly work on improving yourself. The social media has kind of created this atmosphere of instant gratification that's extremely detrimental to the long-term wealth gain which people are expecting. And those crazy short-term games of having like 10x, that's just a lucky draw. And as quickly as you have got it, you'll lose it as quickly because there's no standard process to it. There's no merit behind it, and you effectively didn't earn it. It was just a lucky draw, so it can even go away as quickly as well.
It's lottery, winning a lottery. Yes, absolutely.
Exactly.
Thank you so much. Such great insights. I love this panel today. And that's why I come every day and I ensure that I have speakers like you to cover these topics because this is a matter of discipline, right? To be here, to speak on a topic, and obviously we are aware about the topics to discuss as well. And again, thank you so much for taking time out from your busy, obviously, work life. Nicola is a lawyer, Adrian. You've got so many hats to wear, and so are you, Harsh, filtering, looking at so many startups day in and out. Thank you so much. That means a lot to me and a lot to BCTV as well. Thank you for watching BCTV. We have a lot of viewers. They have a lot of questions. Thank you for sharing your insights. Till then, I'm going to see you on another panel. Till then, take care and yeah, have a great evening. Thank